everybody, Mike Naso here. Good morning, and hurricane season 2008 rolls on as Tropical Storm EDOUARD rolls into Texas. It's made landfall now between High Island and Sabine Pass, Texas, as a strong tropical storm, 65 miles an hour. It could have become a hurricane as it started to get a little bit better organized, but it ran out of room, and thankfully it did not significantly impact all those oil rigs out there in the western Gulf of Mexico that I know we're so waiting to pump more oil out of offshore to help with the gas crisis. Thankfully, the futures went down. Here's the latest on Tropical Storm EDOUARD. As of 7 a.m. Central Time, is at 29.6 north, 94.2 west, 65 miles an hour, gusting up to 75. So there might be some hurricane-force gusts if a good downburst occurs. West-northwest at 13, faster and further north, 997 millibars. Keep in mind there's a high-pressure ridge steering it, and it's right up against that, so the background pressures may be a bit high instead of having this, 7, 8 millibars lower. We still do have those tropical storm warnings up, of course, and hurricane watches still, although that's likely to be discontinued as EDOUARD will not become a hurricane as it moves onshore. There's no real reason for those anymore. And you can see the wind radii with this system is, this was from 5 a.m. It's now onshore, but clearly we have the tropical storm force winds impacting a good stretch. EDOUARD expanded its wind field as it was coming ashore, and that likely will cause more blustery weather and blustery conditions. Here's the latest visible satellite imagery as the sun comes up, and you can see just at the end there, note how a few features. First of all, it's bursting right over the center, so it was trying to become a hurricane. And note this flat edge, and then it kind of flips around. It's almost like getting squeezed as it pulls on in here. It was not in an ideal environment, but if this had had another day, certainly you could see at the beginning how it wasn't all that well organized, and then at the end it became much better organized. Certainly if this had another 12 hours or so, it likely would have become a hurricane. But again, another hit for the Texas coast up here, whereas Dolly was down in South Padre Island region. Now you can see the radar here as EDOUARD moves in. A lot of the rain bands still impacting areas further off towards the west, and then a good stretch of moisture pulling on in to western Louisiana. In fact, if we zoom in here at some of these cities, Houston, Richmond, Liberty, Galveston, Eglinton, all getting impacted, and then you zoom in Texas City, Bayou Vista, village of Tiki Island, just those little communities getting pounded by heavy rain, while the center of EDOUARD is more up in this region here. Again, it missed Galveston to the north and east, and missed Cameron Parish to the north and west, coming ashore near a wildlife refuge, which is always good. Along the Texas coast, when we get storms making landfall in sparse areas, that's much better than the big cities, no doubt. Another vantage point from the IR, you can see not all that impressive. Never did have real good organization on satellite as much as it did on radar, but still got 65 miles an hour, decent tropical storm, fifth named storm of the 2008 hurricane season. Further out, we still have 99L, which is expected to turn north and northeast eventually, still moving northwestward, and you can see it there. It's looking a bit interesting. It's very persistent, so that's why you can't really rule it out as it moves on towards the northwest. Wave entering the Caribbean Sea here. Watch this. The NAM model shows that over the next 5 days by the weekend, this will be up in the northwest Caribbean doing something, but whether or not that becomes anything, I don't know. I believe this may be the vorticity I showed you a few days ago that was out in the central Atlantic that looked interesting. Certainly ahead of it were some thunderstorms. These may be that moving into the Caribbean Sea. Further out, we do have some waves out there, and this I think it's vorticity that we were watching, generally moving towards the Lesser Antilles, Windward Islands even, and going to move into the Caribbean. A few waves out there of note, nothing significant, but it is August, so we're going to have to keep an eye on it. And finally, out in the western Pacific, we do have that tropical storm Kamuri, and is forecast to make landfall here over the next 24 to 36, 48 hours, and move on in, and it definitely has some heavy rains with that. So that's the latest on Eduard and the rest of the tropics. We are in August. We are waiting on our sixth storm. That would be named Faye. And I'll let you know where Faye will develop over the next several days, as I'm sure activity will crank up as hurricane season 2008 goes on. I'll talk to you next time.